Hello everybody, it's your non-binary pal E.V.A here, and welcome to a chill speed paint video. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while, but here we are. This is a drawing I drew a while ago and decided it was time to finally share it. I can't remember what initially inspired this, but I wanted to draw something very gothic with a black, white, and pop of color vibe, in this case red, since I'll be drawing Kenta. If you remember Kenta, he's a D&D character of mine that I drew last year, and you can go watch that video if you want to know more about him. And because I'm me and never like to draw my characters in the same outfit twice unless I have to, I also designed him in a new design here. It's a bit more femme than his base look, inspired by some gothic punk dresses, and I gave him a two-piece dress look with lots of accessories and these cool looking gloves. I also decided it would be cool to draw his hair up, and I've never drawn him in a different hairstyle before, and I did here, and I think he looks good. I also drew him in a worm's eye perspective, which I definitely think I could have achieved better here. The scene is supposed to be like him intimidating someone, maybe after a club night, but yeah, I feel like I could have drawn that perspective better. There are a few things I'm actually not the happiest with in this, which includes the perspective, but also the background. I'll go ahead and talk about that since not much went into it. I wanted the environment to look like an alleyway, and this is why we get references for these type of things, because it doesn't really look like that. It kind of looks like a cityscape at least, and I wanted the moon to be right behind his head, but it was really hard to center it right for some reason. I think because his head wasn't exactly in the center of the canvas, so I was trying to get the moon in the center of the canvas to line up with the background, but it wasn't right behind his head, and I ended up in compromising and getting what we have in the end. So yeah, if I draw this again, I'll probably try something different there. And I did very minimal shading with the background. I just really wasn't feeling it for the background on this one. For actually drawing Kenta, I used a different brush than I normally do for line art, and I did lots of hatching. Yes, my hand was very much hurting by the time I was done. I challenged myself to only work in values for almost all of this, which actually wasn't too hard when it came to adding in his base colors, because Kenta's palette is already mostly grays. However, I did add bright red to a few places: his eye, his bone markings, and his horns. I also did some hatching on the markings and horns so that only a bit of red would pop out. I think this is definitely my favorite part of this drawing. I also had to use only values for the rest of the rendering, which was much more tricky. I do usually end up liking how my rendering looks in just values, but the hardest part is I like colors, so it's hard to not work in colors. The only exception, of course, was the iris of the eye, so that way the color would pop more, and that was definitely way more fun to do. I also did something a little different with the shading, and that was to add a huge multiply layer over the whole character and erase only the place where the light hit the most. I did this since he's facing directly away from the light source, and so that way I made the lighting a bit more harsher. Also, I did use decor brushes for his accessories, and I was originally going to add more, but it ended up looking too overcrowded, so I just stuck to some on his belt and his earring, and kind of rendered them in a bit more to blend in with the rest of the environment. The thing that took the longest overall was the bat. Drawing it, shading it, pretty much all of it. Don't know why I gave him such a complex weapon, but I'm not going to change it because it's really cool. After that overpainting, I didn't add too much else, and that was pretty much it. Sorry for not talking too much more about this one. Like I said, I made this a while ago, and there are quite a few things I'm not the happiest about, so I'll probably redraw this again later on. So if you want to see if and when I do that, you can stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry again for not talking too much. In all honesty, I just came back from a trip and I didn't have a video planned for this week. So this is the one I'm putting out and I didn't have the energy to write more. But yeah, if you like this character, you can learn more about him in the video I made last year. You can also check out my other videos for some of my other characters and artworks and all of that. And you can check out my link in the description below for my website and all of that. Also, my Patreon's down there if you want extra content. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.